if you're going to make that leap of faith, or if you want to transition, understand that there is a delayed gratification, but you have to be consistent and you have to be relentless. Who are you talking to, and what are you telling them what you're looking for? Who are you? What you are about? What's your passions? So your brand and your network are non-negotiables every day. That's something you should always be working on.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career and left that career to go down a different path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
On today's show, we're so pleased to have Moses Lucero with us. Moses, welcome.
Thanks, you guys. It's a pleasure being on here. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Great, Moses. Well, yeah, thank you again for being on the Road Less Traveled Show. To start with, can we get a little bit about your background, what career you started in, and how long you're in that line of work?
Yeah, so long way to start. I'll keep it short. So my mom and dad, they were entrepreneurs by spirit. They owned restaurants. So I guess you could say my entrepreneurship kind of started at a very, very young age. I helped around the restaurants, bus tables, do that kind of stuff. So I kind of grew up understanding delayed gratification, work ethic, all that stuff, since I was 5, 6 years old. Kind of fast forward, I kind of got tired of the restaurant industry because I was in it at a young age. So I said, you know what, I want to be a banker. So I went into the banking industry. I did that for some time, kind of graduated up, became an investment banker through a larger institution. Of course, like everything else happened in 2008 through 2010, I was let go. They paid someone half my salary to do my job. So I kind of went back to the service and hospitality field. Being located in Las Vegas, service and hospitality is a very unique career position to be in Las Vegas, because there are plenty of people who are in that field who can make 6 figures. A lot of people, it's hard for them to grasp, but in Las Vegas, it's a very unique city where someone can make a very healthy living, whether serving tables, being a waitress, being a bartender, so on and so forth. So I went back to the service industry, was in the upper management level, did that for some time, and I noticed I was trading a lot of my time, 50, 60 hours a week to one place. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to, kind of go out in the world and see what else I could offer, what else I could bring. So real estate struck me. And, just like any real estate entrepreneur or aspiring real estate entrepreneur, they got into single family. So I did a lot of single family stuff here in the Valley. I knew that was just chasing a paycheck. House flipping, wholesaling, all that stuff was just chasing a paycheck. I said, there's got to be more to this. I see all these guys making passive wealth, have time freedom. And I, started asking around. I said, oh, well, commercial real estate is usually the common denominator. Mm-hmm. So I kind of attached myself to a commercial real estate investment firm that was here local to Las Vegas. And I said, hey, I will do anything you guys need me to do. I will do it for free. I just want you to show me. So I became an intern. They taught me how to underwrite multifamily properties. I did that for about 3 years, worked my way up to be their lead acquisitions analyst. So I did everything from acquisition to dispositions for the firm. And then I kind of started thinking more. I said, wow, I'm creating more time freedom for my bosses than for myself. And I said, you know what? I want to make a transition to start creating my own capital firm or my own equity group. So kind of fast forward a little bit, Richard, my business partner now, randomly had reached out to me. We hadn't spoken to each other for a few years. He reached out to me and we kind of caught up and asked what we were up to. And I said, I'm underwriting multifamily deals for this firm. And Richard, being, I think, is a successful real estate investor in his own right, had multiple single family homes in his portfolio that he was self-managing. And I thought, man, you're crazy. And I thought that was success. Mm-hmm. And I remember Richard had said something to me. He says, I can't scale. I can't scale in single family. I'm thinking, wow, you have such a large portfolio. How are you telling me you're not scaling? He's like, commercial. I really want to get commercial. And I was like, wow, it dawned on me, we need to join forces. And I thought that was the gateway or the push, the nudge to have me go and create our company and for us to work together. And that happened about 2.5 years ago. So Aviana Capital was formed, and that's kind of where we came from, how our journey began, and it's kind of where we're headed. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And most, what kind of commercial real estate are you focused on?
Oh, yeah. So Rich and I, we're focused on value add multifamily properties. It's a syndication model. We primarily in the Sun Belt states, we look for properties about 150 units or larger. It's just kind of our investors' appetite. But yeah, class C plus B assets, 1990s or newer, 1985 or newer, in the Sunbelt states. So,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. So Moses, as you look back, you decide whether it's your banking world or your hospitality world. Is there a funny story you can share?
Oh man. So hospitality and service in Las Vegas, you could imagine I have some wild stories to tell. But I'm not going to talk about other embarrassing stories from other individuals, but I guess kind of a funny story. So when I was in the service and hospitality industry, you had to really fight for your way. Like you had to really earn your way. And if you wanted anything above and beyond, you really had to prove yourself. At a young age, my dad indirectly taught me, don't ever work for the job you have, work for the job you want. Mm-hmm. So I've always had that mentality of always go above and beyond. If you want to be upper management, start doing upper management things. So I wanted to fight my way into upper management in the service industry. And I was very close with, members of the upper management. I told them, hey, I'm not going to shave my face until you get me a position into upper management. And that went on for 1.5 years. And I will tell you what, I'm surprised. My girlfriend then, now my wife, I'm surprised she hadn't left me because my beard was god awful. So, but yeah, I mean, she stuck through it more than I did. And, I finally got my position. But it just, in hindsight, you kind of think of like, wow, I had to do something so ridiculous and grow facial hair to get a position I wanted. But, it's kind of a funny thing. I look back and I laugh on it, but it was just kind of like a friendly banter thing between myself and him. So
yeah, if it didn't work out, you could always try out for ZZ Top. So there's always fallback options.
Oh yeah. It was a any pictures of me with the beard, I tried to erase. It was terrible.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about growing a beard for a job. I did do the COVID beard, of course, and a lot of people did, but yeah, not for a job. So wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Moses, what was the deciding factor to have you into real estate? I guess leaving your last job, you mentioned some about the time, trading a lot of time for money. Was that kind of the main reason, or did it kind of build up over time, or was there just one moment you just had enough and decided to transition to something you've been kind of mulling over in the back of your mind?
I believe timing is everything for sure. I guess I've been in real estate for quite some time, but I will candidly say that the first 4 or 5 years of doing real estate, it was more, I was more of a hobby. I felt like I didn't really take it seriously. I knew I wanted to get into it. I wasn't taking much action then. What kind of put it in top gear, I felt, was the timing of when Richard had reached out to me and finding out that my daughter was going to be born. I think those kind of two things coincided and really put my butt into gear on making a change, taking calculated actions, and just taking calculated risks. But yeah, I knew I needed to sacrifice as much time and energy as possible right now before my daughter can talk and understand and realize that, either I'm around and I'm present or I'm not. So the time, it's not so much the financial freedom I'm seeking, it's more of the time freedom. I want to be able to allocate my time towards my family first and foremost, and then allocate a lot of other time spent to giving back, to helping other people, to showing other people there are other ways in addition to your primary your income stream. There are other ways, other avenues to help facilitate or maybe possibly help accelerate to help get them their time freedom back.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, good. So Moses, as you look back, you talked about how both you and Richard were doing some single family, some flips. You talked about some wholesaling. What were the obstacles that you encountered along the way as you kind of made the shift into multifamily? Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, it's, real estate's a very humbling field. Just when you think you can get a grasp or you got a basic understanding on how to run a business or do the business, real estate will extremely humble you. There was tons of hurdles, of course, just like anyone getting in the industry. There's a lot of branding, networking. If you're an introvert, that's a hurdle in itself too. but just getting known, talking to people about what you're looking for, what are your goals, your aspirations, and how you can help individuals too. If you can help solve problems, if you can help creatively bring solutions to the table, that was kind of that huge mind shift for me, was being able to bring value to somebody, or trying to fit into be a puzzle piece to the entire picture. But yeah, no, it was definitely a transition from single family to commercial, because in single family, I kind of felt like it was you against other people. It's a dog eat dog world in the single family space. And so the transition to commercial space, it was collaborating, it was partnering, it's joining people. How can you help them? They're not enemies, they're allies. Like you're bringing resources together for the common good. So that was a huge transition for me too, is now going from just myself trying to fight for that deal to now bringing a special quality to a deal.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, as you look back and as you transition from the latest one, I guess the hospitality, into the full-time, into the real estate, you look back, what do you think your first victory was that really solidified for that you've chosen the right path and this is an achievable goal?
Yeah. So when I first started into, real estate way back when, the single family, for the longest time, I felt like I was spinning my wheels. There was a bright light moment or a creative moment with me. It was one of my first real estate transactions that I've ever done. It was an older lady. She was in her 80s. She had a daughter that was living with her, and she was looking to sell a house. She needed to sell to survive. She was very low on liquidity. She didn't have any resources. Her Social Security was very minimal. So her real estate agent had approached me and said, hey, this is the situation. The house needs a lot of work, but she needs a lot of equity to survive for the rest of her days. And so I walked the property, and the property was a disaster. She had owned it for 50 years, about 40 years. The daughter had chain smoked in the house. So you had that element. But I had walked to the house and I noticed certain things, qualities of the house. There were oversized bedrooms in his 2-bedroom house. But I noticed there were other houses in the area that were, there's a huge disparity between 2-bedroom houses and 3 and 4-bedroom houses. So my creative juices got working, and I said, hey, with your consent, I would like to talk to the seller. I pitched my idea of saying, hey, let's just take your house back off the market. Give me 3 months. I will provide my own capital and my own resources to put into this deal. I will renovate it. I will turn it a 2-bedroom into a 3-bedroom house, which create that big disparity, more equity for her. But just allow me, I know you don't know me, but I want to put your trust into me to be able to execute on this. She agreed. So we took the house back off the market. We renovated. I added a 3rd bedroom. House was owned free and clear. So to ensure my security, I did put a first lien on the property for the resources I did put in. And so basically we went in, I did my thing. We relisted the house, and it sold in less than 30 days. She was able to get $50,000 more for equity by me going in and placing my own capital. And I earned a little bit on what I put into it as well. But it was not so much me earning $1 on it. It was more me helping her getting out of the situation, because the house had sat in the market for so long, and to me take it back off for 3 months and be able to sell it with her for less than 30 days. It was that aha moment that anything is possible as long as you bring a creative solution to someone's problem. And from there on, it always stuck with me is, it's not, I can't do something, is how can we do something? How can we get this done? So that just kind of snowballed into other deals, and my creative juices kept going. And then obviously, I thought bigger. I said, I got to get in commercial, and that was a whole different story there too, transitioning there.
That's great.
Yeah. It's funny that you talk about that again. Once you tune your mind into different options, you see those options. I mean, when Bill and I walk a property, we look at this and go, okay, wait a minute, these are ridiculously sized bedrooms. Could we possibly make another bedroom out of this? And sometimes you can, sometimes you can. Obviously, window placement may wreck the situation, but that's the kind of thing that you can add a lot of value by coming up with a different solution and approach. that so many other people just don't see. And,
Yeah.
it's, you see that in single family houses, and, when I look at them as well. But yeah, it definitely, very nice. So,
Yeah, definitely. To me is like, how can you make it a win-win-win for everybody?
right.
It's no longer just you. It's about everyone involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And again, especially in that circumstance with that particular lady,
Yeah.
a wholesaler would have just taken the house off her hands. But, obviously in the situation, trying to create some more equity for her to live on in her elder years was a great win-win-win. So
Yeah.
nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Moses, perhaps maybe since you and Richard created Aviana, is there a funny story you can share?
Oh, with Aviana. They're just, doing due diligence on commercial properties can be eye-awakening in some senses. You do see some interesting stuff when you're walking units, when you're doing due diligence on units. One, you kind of get a very intimate view of how individuals do live. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I don't want to put anyone on blast, but there's a lot of funny things that you actually get to see when you're walking properties is, how are things ran on the property, especially if they're mom and pop properties. You're kind of think like, wow, okay, you really put that together with duct tape. Or, you're walking in an individual unit and you're thinking like, wow, this guy must be really into graham crackers because he's got boxes and boxes of graham, something just absurd that you think you've seen it all. And you're like, okay, this is a unique situation here.
Yeah. We've seen, collectibles all over the room, entire room of collectibles, like, action figure kind of stuff. I mean, we've seen, situations where people have, the maintenance team decide to let the residents change the filters, and they put the filter in wrong. And it was just like,
we're just stacked up next to beside it.
Definitely. But yeah, the commercial space is a very unique breed. It's a very unique realm to be in. You get to see intimately, things of tenants, and then things of what, their investor side. It's like you kind of see the flaws of, I don't want to call them flaws, but you get to see how they operate, how they live. And it's just a very unique lens to be through.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Moses, where are you today in your journey? You've been transitioned out of the single family. You're now the full-time value add syndication model in the Sunbelt area. So where are you now, and where are you looking to grow to?
That's a very good question. I like that question a lot. So right now we're in the Sunbelt states. We're primarily in Georgia and Texas. We over 5 properties, just a little over 740 units under management. Our goal is to be able to continue obviously looking for, value add properties in those areas. We plan to expand in other markets. We focused on more of the partnerships and, bringing on long lasting relationships on that front. But, we also were looking to possibly diversify a little bit, not just, the value add multifamily. We're also looking into other industries like self-storage, and looking at, warehouse type of facilities, redevelopment of warehouses. We're not necessarily trying to be experts in that field, but we're trying to build long lasting relationships with people who are experts in that field. And just trying to bring, again, valuable resources to them and add value to them. But yeah, this coming year, I mean, we're still looking to acquire properties, looking to asset manage more, and obviously diversify a little bit more as well. Kind of look at other asset classes and partner with people who are very successful in those classes.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah. Nice. So Moses, you mentioned, you touched on briefly the idea and concept of giving back. So can you elaborate on that? Anything that you do personally, or perhaps through your business that you can that you do today to help others in some way to give back?
Yeah. So, of course, I know our goal is to achieve time freedom. I'm very blessed and fortunate to be able to retire my wife. So my wife is a stay-at-home. She likes to give back to the community too. One thing we do like to do is feed the homeless. So we'll feed the homeless, especially during the holidays. We'll do toy drives and stuff, such, toys for the less fortunate children. We were introduced to an interesting opportunity through a relationship that we had. We have an opportunity to annually go to Mexico and help build homes. So in April, My wife and I will take a trip down there for a couple of days and help build about 30 plus homes for the less fortunate and homeless down in Mexico. So those are certain things that myself, my wife, we strive to do. Is time freedom is, important to us because we want to be able to contribute, give back, help people in need, educate, and, kind of offer our time. We think is a higher value. That's not so much a monetary sense, but be able to offer our time and our efforts to people who need it. So that's kind of my goal, is to be able to give more, and obviously for her to be able to give more as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Moses, is there something you recently implemented in your business that's allowed you to scale and achieve your goals?
Yeah. So about 5 months ago, I think this was a pretty big accelerator in our company. About 5 months ago, Rich and I had discussed about doing meetups, local meetups, especially here in Las Vegas. Before the pandemic, we had quite abundance of meetups that were real estate related. After COVID had came and gone, it hasn't made its presence back, especially in the commercial space. There was a lack of community in the commercial space. So kind of collaborated about 5 months ago. And I said, I should really start a meetup, be a thought leader, get people, seasoned and new investors, aspiring investors, to kind of come together, collaborate, work, mastermind. So about 5 months ago, we took the leap of faith and I started a local meetup, established a location. It first started out with 5 or 8 members that showed up to the first meetup. Fast forward to 5 months later, we've grown to consistently about 75 members that show up every month.
Wow.
And I'm not going to take full credit of that by any means. Through the mindset of partnerships and collaborating, I brought on 2 other individuals that are local to help me market, promote, and get out the message to, bring people in. They were a huge proponent on bringing in, speakers, experienced operators, lenders, CPAs, lawyers, lining up speakers for the following months, or, the continuing months. And it's exploded overnight to, we've outgrown our venue. We are now looking at other spaces, and we're just continuing growing. We're having quality speakers come on, traveling in from out of state to come speak at our events. So that was a huge accelerator. It was kind of one of a pivotal moment in my, investing career, was being a thought leader, offering value, giving people a place to come and conversate, whether it, doesn't matter if you're new or if you're seasoned, just come, talk, let's mastermind, let's collaborate, let's partner, let's talk about deals, let's talk about the market. But it's been very rewarding so far.
Nice. Wow, that's great. That's impressive. Yeah. Like you said, from 6 to 8 to begin with, to 75 coming every. Do you do it monthly or? Yeah,
so we do it a first Tuesday of every month. We have a designated spot, but I mentioned we might outgrow it very soon here. But yeah, it's consistently and continually putting the marketing out there and keeping it the same day of every month, first Tuesday of every month. So
nice.
That's nice. Great. Yeah, definitely quality problems to have, right? Too many people want to attend your event. Yeah.
I've met some fantastic people at those meetups. As a matter of fact, some of those people that have attended our meetups are investors in our deals. Mm-hmm. Okay. And these are people I would have never met before if I didn't have that meetup. Right. So, passive and active investors. I have, general partnerships I've met through those meetups. I have passive investors that I've met through those meetups, and it pays for itself. It really does.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. So Moses, what advice would you give to somebody who's considering making a path change?
Oh man, educate yourself. First and foremost, you want to make that leap of faith. It is scary, and don't be scared to fail, because failing is part of the process. Actually, some of my biggest life lessons were from failures. But yeah, if you're going to make that leap of faith, or if you want to transition into entrepreneurship, or if you want to transition into real estate investing, understand that there is a delayed gratification. You won't be rewarded for your hard work up front, but you have to be consistent and you have to be relentless. Always be 1% better. I would tell someone who's getting in the industry, don't just quit your job and jump into it. Make sure that you can slowly taper off to your mainstream of income and transition. While you're doing that, I've learned from a mentor of mine, 2 things you must work on every day that will help your entrepreneur career: your network and your brand. Mm-hmm. Those are non-negotiables. Every day you must work on your network and your brand. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to, and what are you telling them what you're looking for? How can you offer value? How can you create a solution to the problem? And your brand. Who are you? What you are about? What's your passions? What's your story? What's your goals? Where are you trying to head? What have you done? So your brand and your network are non-negotiables every day. That's something you should always be working on, even if you're not an entrepreneur, but just as a person. Moses Lucero, I'm a brand. Who do I know? Who knows me? So, and you can make those connections. And if those connections not for your benefit, but you can also be a connection for someone else. You never know who you can connect each other. I've built a lot. I've given a lot of people great relationships because I knew someone who had a problem, and I knew someone who can help fix that problem. And I made that connection to them, nice. Me out of the way. So, but it's your branding and network. I feel like people should always work on before they make that leap of faith. And when they do make that leap of faith, make sure you are educated enough to be dangerous, and your risks are somewhat calculated where you can make that transition, especially if you have a family.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Great. Well, Moses, so what's the best way for our listeners to be able to reach out and find out what you and Rich have going on?
Yeah, you can definitely reach out to us through our website, www.avianacapitalgroup.com. You can reach out to me personally at moses@avianaco.com. Or LinkedIn, Moses Lucero. I've got multiple outlets you can get a hold of me, and I will reach back to you through every single one. So.
Excellent. And we'll put links to those in the show notes below. Well, Moses, we really want to thank you for being a guest on the Road Less Traveled show today. Really enjoyed the conversation and want to wish you continued success.
I appreciate it, Bill. Richard, it was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Moses, for being on. We'd also like to thank our listeners. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like our show today with Moses Lucero. And we also want to remind everybody about a couple things Park Capital Partners has going on. First of all, we have the Park Capital Partners Value Add Fund, which is a 506c fund open today to accredited investors. And then next we have the Park Capital Partners the Park Capital Partners Foundation, which is a 501(c) nonprofit that we created as a way that we give back. Another additional way besides doing this show and another monthly meeting that we host. So very quickly, how that works is that first, Bill and I fund the operations of the foundation from Park Capital Partners. So all the money donated to the foundation goes to do its best work, which is to help other people. We donate personally, then we donate corporately. And then finally, when investors invest with us in one of our projects, we make a donation to honor that investor to a pre-selected list of 15 different charities, including one that focuses on feeding America. So please reach out to us. We're happy to have a conversation anytime. ParkCapitalPartnersLLC.com. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.